I'm Lakwena Maciver and I'm an artist. I make a lot of work on a really large scale, very colourful, and I make work in public spaces and I make work in galleries. And now I've got a show here at Yorkshire Sculpture Park in the Weston gallery. I was really kind of impacted by the nature, as you would be, just the environment. Coming from an urban environment, it's so refreshing, it was really inspiring. And I was quite interested in the idea of who owned the land, what the history of the space was, and how it had become this sculpture park. And then I went back home actually to the studio and I started to look at like the maps of the park, and I noticed that there was a ha-ha. When I was reading these descriptions of what ha-ha was, that it was this sunken fence, that it was used to keep out people who weren't wanted, basically animals, keep it away from the gardens, the private gardens, that it was used to give an illusion of continuity with the landscape, an illusion of naturalness. But I liked how you could read into that, and as a metaphor for what's happening right now, I think, in public discourse. It's been really actually interesting speaking to people about it as I've been making the work. All sorts of different people who definitely get this sense that there are boundaries and lines that are in place that are not necessarily spoken about but are there and are concealed and give this kind of illusion of freedom and an illusion of kind of liberality, but actually are quite confining. And so I was interested in kind of tying these things together, the history with this present situation, and kind of thinking about how we, I think specifically as culture makers, institutions, how we use the power that we have in society to allow everyone to speak freely, not just the people who agree with us, So that's kind of what I was trying to explore in the work. I guess there's a few elements to the show. They're the banners, they're the ha-ha paintings, there's the mask, 2 masks, but then there's also the sound piece. And for me, that was just a way of trying to create an immersive environment. So we had members of the community here at Yorkshire Sculpture Park and all sorts of people who contributed their own recordings of laughter so that we could have this laughter soundscape. And the idea of that really, obviously a ha-ha is a way of describing laughter. I like that because laughter in itself, ha-ha, you can have all sorts of types of laughter. You can have sinister laughter, funny laughter, ironic laughter. So I kind of wanted to let people, keep that quite open and let people interpret. Usually in my work, the words that I use tend to be quite open. And that's something I'm quite conscious of, is that I don't want to force a particular viewpoint on people or kind of shout at people. Although the work is very bold and bright, I want there to be an openness to it so that people can read into it or take their own meaning from it. But this work, you'll notice that the phrases are quite didactic, to me quite patronising, a little bit preachy, really. And so it was kind of a challenge to work out how I was going to paint this, but also show that there's a bit of questioning of that. So I decided to paint on canvas, which I like the idea of, just in the fact that it refers to the idea of protest, speech, I guess politics. But I wanted the banners not to be too kind of pristine. I wanted there to be something slightly dishevelled about them, to just kind of make people question these very strong, bold statements. Yeah, the point of the show really is to highlight the ha-ha and to say, there's a ha-ha, can we just look at that and address that or just think about it? And I guess to challenge us to ask whether we are really as free as we think we are, as open-minded as we think we are, regardless of what we say and what kind of language we use. Are we actually willing to sit down and speak and connect with people who think something different from us? And so I hope that the work will challenge people to think about that.